To break that down, why you're such a firm believer specifically in time.
So first of all, it's important to note that all these different price patterns that were created by ICT, mad respect, shout out to Michael as well for that, because what he has created in terms of a language is insane, where he created a language around the real language which is taking place all the time by central banks, by big entities, etc., that control the delivery of price. It's insane how he created a language around the real language without spilling too much of it. But
okay.
We'll get into that later.
Let's get into that, because to be honest, my position is actually neutral. I've seen the hate, I've seen the love. I don't have a position, but I know a lot of people, typically speaking, they just have a prejudice. They're like, whatever someone says about ICT, they're probably a cult, they're a fan, they're whatever. They don't know what's really going on. So I think you'll be in a good position to really shed some light on, okay, what is someone that has seen the realities of ICT, is not just clouded by the mirage of ICT, but has actually seen it himself and traded it himself. What are you seeing that the outside people are not?
So when it comes to the majority of ICT traders, they get introduced to a PD arrays. And the PD arrays are the language which Michael has created to explain why the market is doing what it's doing. And if you purely focus on PD arrays, I'm 130% confident that you're able to gauge order flow, so read the markets already way better than if you wouldn't be paying attention to them.
Okay.
However, where these people all struggle is that they don't realize that the PD arrays themselves are not the reason why price is going up and down and sideways, whatever. There's a deeper meaning behind each specific PD array.
PD array, if I'm not mistaken, is just premium discount.
Premium and discount array.
And therefore, there's a lot of logic in it that price generally retraces more than 50%. So therefore, selling in premium, buying in discount. It seems to me it's a very loose thing. It's not an exact science. It's just buy above 50%. Sorry, buy below 50, sell above 50%. How can you take that deeper?
Well, first of all, it's important to note that the PD array itself, I'm going to repeat myself because it's so important that the viewer understands this, a PD array itself doesn't mean anything. And the reason why it doesn't mean anything is because, okay, you need to have the right narrative in play. But even when you say that, it comes back to what you just said. Okay, you can have these steps which you outlined of, okay, price needs to be from a point of interest, then that displacement lag has to take place, that break of market structure whatsoever. It's still subjective, because how do you know the point of interest? How do you know the level that prices are going to turn around from? Okay. And that is where there's an objective logic in play, which ICT does not teach, but which he actively uses, where he uses these very specific price levels each freaking day, yes, and when price gets to those levels, he's beginning to count time, and he's beginning to pay attention to, okay, is right now that reversal sequence in play. And when he sees all these different steps in play, that is when he knows that, for example, let's take a bullish example, right? Because Nasdaq is at the time of this recording nearing new all-time highs. A lot of people are caught off guard because of what happened over the course of these past couple of weeks or months even, where we had trade wars, where we had real wars taking place in the Middle East, all of that crazy stuff, right? How is it possible that within such a short period of time, a major drop lower took place, followed by a massive run higher? How is that possible? And that right there is something which I want to touch on, because when you think about it, right, there's a reason why certain narratives get pushed in the media. There's a reason why certain ideas get thrown around on social media. What gets pushed around social media is all under control. There are entities who literally control the spread of information. And when you take that a step deeper and you begin to look at the markets, you begin to realize, hey, wait a minute, what if certain narratives gets pushed when it's aligned with smart money's agenda?
Did you see the recent things when this tariff situation drop happened and there's a V-recovery? And on the days of the initial recovery, Trump is in the White House with his buddies and he's like, he made 900 million, he made 50, he made $1 billion, whatever. And they're laughing about it. And then he just tweets prior saying, now's a good time to buy. I think that's the only reason he did that is to cover his ass and be like, okay, well, I didn't insider trading because I publicly tweeted about it. But I think that's a very evident example of what's probably happening below the surface more often.
But I want to share something with you, Waqar, and with all the viewers watching this now. I see within the charts where these high-frequency trading algorithms, which are being utilized by these bigger entities to fill those huge positions, because they can't just go on the open market and fill hundreds of millions of Nasdaq or whatever, right? They need to make sure that that order gets filled around a specific price during a window of time. I see that within the charts. So every single news swing which occurs, where there's a news announcement and boom, price heavily reacts to that, it's already visible before the news comes out. And that's the perspective that I've gained over the years, years, where instead of reacting to what's happening in the world, I'm actually anticipating events to take place in the world. So my analysis throughout what happened in April was, hey, we're manipulating towards the downside with the fear of what was taking place in the world when it comes to the trade wars, where there was this crazy day where Trump just announced a crazy list of tariffs on a lot of countries. The markets plunged. It was like as if the world was coming crashing down, right? That's how it was being pushed around in media and such. That continued throughout the first few weeks of April. But then throughout the third week of April, yes, what happened was that all of a sudden, technically speaking, I saw the signs of a reversal taking place. So that's that reversal sequence. And now we're not speaking about an intraday chart. We're not speaking about a lower time frame chart. Now we're speaking about a huge price swing, a quarterly swing, yes? It's the same sequence of events that I'm looking for based upon time and price. The only difference there is the following. The only difference is the duration of the time cycles, which I'm referring to from start to finish, versus the price ranges, meaning the price ranges are way larger that I'm referring to. And because that is fractal, yes, I'm using the same approach when I'm trading, for example, a 15-second chart, 1-minute chart of NASDAQ, versus when I'm participating in a swing which is going to take place over the upcoming months. Do you understand? And one thing there, yes? Sorry to cut you off.
Of course.
But one thing which is important to note there is that when we go back to that belief that it's a rigged world, and there's nothing you can say that's like, oh, you know, it's supply and demand, or it's random, it's not programmed, whatever. I'm 130% convinced, based upon that what I've seen for years now within the charts, that it's a rigged game, yes, based upon time and price, because that is what these algorithms are referring to, yes. When you take that deeper and you begin to pay attention to the fact that, okay, we see such a big news manipulation taking place with the trade wars, and then all of a sudden, once within the charts it became obvious that on the 21st of April, the absolute bottom would form on the American markets, all of a sudden, what came out, hey, this country, for example, America, China, where there's a huge trade war going on, at some point I believe there was a tariff of 150% or something, we're going to cool it down, we're going to slow it down. Isn't it interesting how, technically speaking, it was already obvious that smart money was positioned long? Do you understand what I'm getting at? And that then the narrative gets pushed.
Comes after.
Exactly.